You're on the line with Cycline. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, or good night. My name is Rico Angela Bunwan and welcome back to Cycline. I'm officially a third year student and joining me today as my co-host.
Hi, I'm Eman and I am a sophomore of MMSU BS Psychology.
A round of applause, warm welcomes.
So this is my first time doing this and I'm kinda nervous.
Don't worry, it's not like we're going to be talking about a very sensitive issue right off the bat on your debut. Oh. But yeah, everything will be fine. So, I just wanted to say, kamusta na kayo? And also, how's your experience so far with the site?
It's very tiring to be honest, but at the same time fulfilling because I know that in the future maybe I will be of help to other people rito.
Wow.
Yes.
Are you saying that for the sake of the mic or are you saying that out of genuinity? Genuinity?
Secret lang,
Okay. This episode may contain sensitive content.
Not for the faint of heart.
The listener's discretion is advised. You wake up and the day begins.
And as you scroll on your phone,
You see posts of your friends.
but why? Why does it feel like there's something wrong?
You decide to stifle those feelings for the meantime because you have a fully loaded day in front of you. So you decided to get ready and go to school.
And then you received an invitation from your friends.
This invitation seems to feel warm, but then again, that feeling you felt this morning, you aren't shaking it off. Somehow, you don't want to go. Somehow, you're surrounded by many people, but you still feel alone.
But why? Why are you feeling like that? You're surrounded by people and yet why does it feel like the light is out of your reach? This scenario is something that we've all experienced once in our lives. We don't know that it can manifest into something even more severe.
And just in case, if our listeners out there aren't aware, September is dedicated to suicide prevention. So, as Psyche Society, we would like to properly give this month justice and this episode justice by inviting
Our special guest, our newest certified registered psychometrician, Miss Janica Pilien.
So before we get too much ahead of ourselves, I'll just make sure that we're all on the same page on what suicide is. For all intents and purposes, suicide is defined by the American Psychological Association as the act of killing oneself.
Based on research that I've read, men are more likely to succumb to their darkness, leading them to commit suicide. Women, on the other hand, use less lethal methods that makes them more likely to be hospitalized.
So far, Ma'am Janica, do you think the information that we researched is correct in any way or any more additional details you can add as to what can give context to suicide?
That's right, because men are more likely to commit suicide because of their extrinsic capabilities, and women are more likely to commit suicide in a less lethal way or in a less dangerous way because of their internal tendencies or intrinsic tendencies to be a more softer version of themselves, or a what do you call this? I think it's their kind of soft instinct that they cannot physically hurt themselves and they cannot use any force and more power to hurt themselves.
So when you mention the term extrinsic, does that can you give us some more context? What does that mean? Does that mean like the ways of committing suicide, or can you please give us a little more detail?
The extrinsic way of men are, for example, they tend to use guns, they tend to use weapons to really intend to commit suicide.
So, ma'am, about women, what do you mean give us more context about that? And like, what's the most common way?
So in my personal experience, especially with women trying or attempting to commit suicide, they tend to cut their wrists more. And I've had this experience wherein a friend of mine was sending pictures of her attempts in our GC, so it's kind of triggering, but it's the most common thing that I know women do to somehow suffice to their dark feelings and to their tendencies of having the idea of committing suicide.
I guess on this point, what's on my mind right now and what I want to ask is, why do people go to suicide? Why is it such a prevalent issue when it comes to us dealing with, I assume, personal problems?
Maybe this is already a common, or it's something na nakikita na natin siya in social media or anything, na ang sabi nila, someone or a person commits suicide because they don't know how to feel. Hindi nila alam kung ano yung pakiramdam ng may nararamdaman. Kaya ang pinaka best way nila is to do self-harm, to attempt to do suicide. And I think it's kind of right because, okay, this is not my own personal experience, but it's a testimony of a friend that she said, hindi ko alam kung anong mararamdaman ko and I just wanted to feel something. So maybe people really just wanted to feel something. They don't want to end their lives. They just wanted to feel something besides the darkness or besides being depressed at all.
So, as you can see, ma'am, the romanticization of self-harm and suicide is very rampant on social media. So, what can you say about those who want to try it, like for just for the trends, just for the views?
It's kind of funny and it's kind of somehow offensive sa mga side ng mga mental health advocate, kasi ang pinapreserve namin or tayong mga mental health advocate is we're trying to improve our lives, we're trying to live, or we're trying to sustain a person trying to live or what yan. Pero yung mga tao na to, parang tinitake nila yung mga buhay nila as a joke, as something like papasok lang sa trend. Pero suicide is a real thing. Hindi siya laro, hindi siya prank, hindi siya kahit ano. It's a serious thing kasi buhay ang nakataya dyan.
I guess along with the trend of romanticizing like self-harm, I also want to know more about when it comes to the coping mechanism of avidly sharing their struggles and making light of it in a joking manner. Because in our generation, it's like suicide is partially a part of the butt end of a joke, kind of a coping mechanism. What do you have to say about this, ma'am? Like, what are your comments on this as well?
Suicide is not the answer. It's really not the answer. Kasi kung tayo nga ng mga tao, kayang-kaya natin bumangon if nadapa tayo, then maybe what we are feeling right now can and may be prevented. Like in a way na, kunwari, kung alam mong papunta ka na sa side na you're trying to commit suicide, try to distract yourself. Siguro, try mo mag-jogging, try mo kumain ng pinakagusto mo, or just try to watch something and be at peace. Suicide is really not the answer. Let's just have another options. I met this guy na ang sabi niya, we have these two choices every time we feel like there is this trigger of having to commit suicide. Tas ang choices namin lagi is, it's either the knife or the water. Meaning, if you choose the knife, you'll end your life immediately. Pero if you choose the water, you'll calm down, hihinga ka, papahinga ka. Kaya kapag laging sinasabi niya sa akin na, make me choose, alam ko na kaagad ko ano yung ibig sabihin niya. It's either the water or the knife. And I always choose the water kasi I don't want people to waste their lives na ganun-ganun lang. And I want people to realize that life is there's something more about life, and life is beautiful at all.
So, Ma'am, as you've said kanina, it's impulsive. So, do you think that suicide is impulsive? Is it an impulsive choice?
Meron kasi yung mga tao na, kumbaga, nasa peak sila ng pakiramdam nila na ang pinaka-choice na lang nila is gawin to. Like, people would just feel like, sobrang lungkot ko, hindi ko alam kung ano yung gagawin ko. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung mararamdaman ko. I need to feel something. Then, people who are suicidal, they will have their own means. Like, kunwari sa mga babae, gaya nga ng sabi natin kanina, they would cut their wrists para lang kahit konti meron silang maramdaman. It's not really the point na impulsive siya, but it's actually just a mere reaction sa kung ano yung nararamdaman nila na parang, bakit wala akong maramdaman? I need to feel something. Kasi kapag nabubuhay ka, di ba, meron kang nararamdaman. Kapag nabubuhay ka, kailangan mong may maramdaman.
So, now that we've gone through all of those questions, I'd like to shift the focus because the tendency is there are some people who are suicidal but then need to talk it out with other people. And for those people who have shared the baggage, those who are trying to process their suicidal thought, what advice can you say to them as the one receiving such negative or like unprocessed emotions? How do people cope with hearing that their closest friend or like a close friend is going through such a hard time?
This is not actually an advice, but it's actually a thing na sa isang tao, typical na i-absorb niya kung ano yung naririnig niya. Pero ikaw na listener, especially on a negative factor, like such topic on suicide, sobrang hirap niyang i-accept, sobrang hirap niyang i-process to the point na pakiramdam mo ikaw na rin yung nakakaramdam ng suicidal tendencies and suicidal feelings nung tao na yon. And for this, I think I would just want to insert this part of my life na kumbaga, also this is a friend as well, na ang sabi niya, we had this small talk during thesis time, and I just kind of nakainom kami, nakasujo kami and everything, and this person bigla na lang siyang umiyak. Tapos ang sabi niya, pagod na ako. We didn't expect that from a person na sobrang motherly and sobrang welcoming and hospitable niya sa amin. Tapos out of nowhere, I asked, bakit? Para saan yung pagod mo? Tapos bigla na lang siyang umiyak. And ang sabi niya, ayoko nang tumanggap ng mga tao. Ayoko nang makarinig na pagod na rin yung mga tao nasa paligid ko. I think that small talk, that little sojo unexpected thing na nangyari, that's what we needed. Or those people is, yun yung kailangan nila. They needed a way to vent out as well. Kasi kailangan nilang ilabas kung ano yung nararamdaman nila. Hindi naman lahat kasi ng mga nakikinig is talagang hindi nila i-absorb or hindi nila i-embody or i-personalize yung mga experiences ng mga tao na ririnig nila. Pero yung punto lang kasi doon is, na-realize ko that time na directly niya akong tinignan kasi sa mata. Tapos sabi niya, ayoko nang makatanggap ulit ng mga kwento. Ayoko nang kumilala ulit kasi ayoko nang panibagong kwento na ipaprocess ko ulit. Kasi parang sa kanya, wala daw siyang way out. And I'm kind of thankful na lasing kaming lahat nun. Kasi tingin ko kinabukasan, hindi niya maaalala yun, na umiyak siya. And she really voiced out and everything na kung ano man yung nararamdaman niya, in the process na nakakarinig siya ng mga kwento ng mga kaibigan niyang nakakasuffer ng mga ganto, ganyan. Siguro God is just really finding a way for us to see her. Kasi pakiramdam namin nasa group, siya yung parang hindi na kailangan mapansin. Kasi siya na mismo yung nag-aalaga sa amin. And it's just a big realization na people na nakakarinig or naririnig yung mga rants natin, they needed a way to vent out. And maybe we can ask them if they are okay, or kahit konting soju lang talaga, kahit konting inuman lang talaga, it can help.
Moral of the story, everyone, Make sure you have a good set of drinking buddies. And make sure that you're in safe hands.
So, we've mentioned a while back about emotional punching bag. So, as the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. What would you say to those emotional punching bags na hindi nila makayang ma-vent out yung mga gusto nilang saloobin kasi people rely on them for support?
So first and foremost, of course, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka naman magbibigay kung alam mong wala ka. So you need to prioritize yourself first bago mo prioritize yung iba. Oh, this may sound cheesy or this may sound funny, but it's a real thing na hindi ka pwedeng bigay lang ng bigay kahit na alam mong ubus ka. Kasi to the point na parang binibigay mo na yung lahat mo na wala ka nang matitira sa sarili mo. Paano kapag ikaw naman yung nangailangan? It will be a problem. And it's the thought na kailangan kong gawin to kasi I'm the support system. I should be the strong one. I should be the one who is so stable. Pero you are also valid. You can be vulnerable. You can also feel sad. You can also feel depressed. Kung yun man yung nararamdaman mo. It's not all the time na porket ikaw yung pinaka-available na pwede nilang pagrantan or ikaw man yung pinaka-tingin nila is suitable na pagsabihan kasi parang ikaw yung chill lang. Pero hindi. People are still people. Humans are still humans. They tend to feel something and people have emotions and feelings that are also valid. Kasi kung sino man yung nakikinig, kung sino man yung nagsasalita at gusto mapakinggan, they all have valid emotions and they deserve to be listened and they deserve na may makinig din sa kanila. Pero yung sinasabi ko kanina na hindi pwedeng bigay ka lang ng bigay kasi kapag ikaw naubos, sino pa yung tatakbuhan mo? You only have yourself, kumbaga. So, yeah.
Thank you so much po, Ma'am Janica. To give a very simplified version, when there are two broken cups, no matter to who you pour out that water for, both cups will end up empty. So instead of trying to give what you cannot afford to lose, maybe it is time to look at that glass and say, I will fix it. And then I will help by pouring my own bucket of water onto the glass. Thank you. So now, at this point, everyone's in the back of their heads saying, oh, I shouldn't talk about my feelings towards my friends. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're not ready for it. My question now is, Mom, how exactly do we ask for help?
Okay. This is something that I practice always, especially when asking the availability of the person. Kasi yung ginagawa ko is hindi ako yung kumbaga direkta ka agad sa problema. Ako yung sinasabi ko muna is, are you available? Are you okay? Can you listen to me? It's a way for me to validate the feelings of the person na makikinig din sa akin. Kasi yun nga, hindi naman kasi lahat ng mga tao is kayang tanggapin lahat ng mga sasabihin mo. Hindi nila kayang i-catch lahat-lahat kasi maybe they are experiencing the same thing as you are. And yun yung magiging problema kasi wala ring resolution kung ano man yung magsasabi ka. Tapos, duwari sasabihin niya, parang walang reaction. O kaya naman is, parang the normal thing kasi is kapag alam mong hindi available yung tao or hindi emotionally available yung tao is parang mapapasabi na lang siya na kapag nag-vent out ka and then biglang magre-reply ng same. Kung hindi man ganon is parang okay. Can you tell me more? Parang hindi sila emotionally available pero at the same time gusto nilang malaman kasi they wanted to fulfill that kind of pleasure or satisfaction na I need to help this because he or she is my friend. She needed me. Pero hindi ako available so I need to be at least present. Just by saying, oh, same? Oh, okay. I hear you. Continue. Parang ganun. Pero it's really the right thing to do na tanungin muna natin kung available ba yung tao emotionally, kung kaya ba niya, or maybe simpleng kamustahin mo lang siya And then, tansyahin mo kung kaya ba niyang tanggapin kung ano yung sasabihin mo. Kasi hindi talaga lahat ng mga tao is very knowledgeable or very flexible when it comes to receiving messages, especially on those things such as on your attempts of having or those even thoughts na gusto ko nang mawala, gusto ko nang gawin to, ganyan. So, yun.
What I'm hearing is we should seek help from those that might be more knowledgeable than your everyday friend. Am I mistaken, ma'am?
No, you're actually right because it's not a sign of weakness kapag nag-ask po tayo ng help in a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Mas mabuti na lang na sa mga professional tayo lumapit kesa naman sa mga maybe your typical or everyday friend won't be able to handle you. And ang makakatulong na lang sa'yo is those professionals that have a wider knowledge and wider idea kung paano solusyonan kung ano yung nararamdaman mo ngayon.
Pero minsan, ma'am, parang ang hirap naman to reach out for help. You know, yung pinaka-available doon, nandyan sa cellphone mo. Tapos, nakaka-intimidate rin pumunta sa, I don't know, maybe even your guidance counselor because sometimes they're more knowledgeable than your friends. But there's a barrier, I guess. What can you say about that situation, ma'am?
Parang nakakreate kasi tayo ng parang social construct or a societal definition. Kumbaga, yung sabi mo kanina, guidance counselor. Na kapag pumasok ka ng guidance office, meron kang ginawang mali. Pero yung totoo niyan, you are in the guidance office kasi you needed to talk about something. You needed comfort. You needed someone to trust sa kung ano man yung nararanasan mo. And para i-address yun is to really break the stigma and to really break the idea na you needed help and a professional is available para tulungan ka. And the guidance counselor or the guidance office is open, especially in our schools. And alam ko na in the Philippines, sobrang mahal kapag pupunta ka sa mga professionals. Pero kung titignan mo naman kasi statistically, konti lang yung mga psychologists natin na registered talaga. So the hike of price ng mga psychologists or mga professionals natin is understandable kasi iilan lang sila. And your problems are not easy to be solved. Hindi siya basic lang na question and answer. It's more of a process, a systematic process na magsisimula ka sa wala hanggang sa magkakaroon ka ng idea kung ano yung gagawin mo.
So, you've said about schools having guidance counselor. Pero from my experience, ma'am, when you hear the word guidance kasi in our school, parang, pariwara kang estudyante. So, parang, it's something na embedded siguro sa utak ng marami. Kasi when they hear it, parang, it's a negative sort. When in reality, guidance is supposed to help supposed to guide you. So, what can you say about institutions that use guidance as some form of, like, ayun na.
Scare factor.
Yes.
I think for institutions, they need to make reconstructions, especially with the concepts of guidance office. Kasi nasanay tayo na kapag papasok ka ng guidance office, parang nakagawa ka ng mali. Parang isa kang pasaway na bata na need ng disiplina from another person's POV. Pero yung totoo niyan is nasa kung paano din i-implement ng school yung pinaka-center ng guidance. Kasi gaya nga ng sabi ni Eman, may mga schools na kumbaga is super traditional to the point na ginagawa nila yung guidance to discipline people or discipline students. Pero ang guidance po is a comforting home and it needs to be a comforting home kasi ang mga estudyante kung pagod na sa bahay, merong school at merong guidance office na pwede silang magpahinga at pwede silang maging open with themselves.
Kasi diba ma'am, schools are supposed to be your second home kasi you spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, and to further elaborate my previous points, ang mga tao nakikinig, hindi naman always need na magbigay ng advice. They can just make the person feel their presence na okay, dito lang ako, makikinig ako. Hindi naman every time or hindi naman din nire-require ng nag-open up sa'yo na bigyan mo siya ng advice. Kasi ang gusto lang naman yan probably is merong makinig at meron siyang way out sa kung ano yung nararamdaman niya.
So now we've seen like different perspectives of how it could affect, how it could result, and how other people could see this. Now I think it's time for us to tackle upon the awareness part. How exactly do we see those early signs that someone is thinking about self-harm, or like off the top of this episode, we tried to tackle upon that feeling of emptiness that some of those people and some of the situations you discussed earlier, ma'am. That feeling of emptiness resonates a lot with those people. So, are there any other signs that we should look for in these individuals po?
Okay, people are unique, especially with the means of committing suicide. May mga ibang tao na like for the old age, they would tend to give away their most sentimental things. Example, magtaka ka kung yung matanda na yan is magbigay na lang sa'yo ng bigla nung cup niya, yun yung pinakamamahal niyang cup. O kaya naman yung gitara niya. That's one sign. And some people also, ito na yung mga typical na nakikita natin na hindi sila lumalabas ng kwarto, wala silang ganang kumain, tapos recurrent yung emotions and yung thinking na I am not worthy enough, I am not doing enough, and exactly I am not enough. So, yung mga signs na yun can be observed immediately. Meron din yung ibang tao kasi na yung mga typical na ginagawa nila is hindi na nila ginagawa. O kaya naman kapag yung mga typical na ginagawa nila is they do it excessively or at all hindi talaga ginagawa. Okay? Meron din yung mga ibang tao na kumbaga, eto yung the funny thing or it's a kumbaga paradox na kumbaga yung mga tao na to is they tend to enjoy life in a day to the point na parang wala nang bukas para ma-experience na magiging better yung tomorrow. So, they needed to experience all things na alam niya magiging masaya siya in a day. And meron ding mga tao na nag-e-explore, yung mga taong as in na nag-i-initiate talaga ng mga risky behaviors. Like for example, paragliding, as in nag-e-explore siya ng mga activities na alam niyang dangerous. Pero one sign yan talaga. Pero mga tao na nag-take into activities na sobrang risky, ito yung mga suicide initiators or death initiators. Parang alam niya nang mamamatay siya.
So, a day before...
Inunaanan siya. Basta kaya't nakaunaanin.
Like, DJ, adang arati science mom ket before they die or before they commit, parang there's this tendency na your depressed friend suddenly became so joyful that parang, oh, there's no tomorrow, happy na ako. And then the next thing that happens is, boom, they're gone.
Yun nga, yung opposite ng kung ano yung nararamdaman nila, yun yung minamanifest nila kasi ang gusto nilang makita ng ibang tao is they are okay. And since suicide is unexpected, yun yung parang pinaka-point ng mga tao na to na if I will be happy, people would expect me to die. People would expect me to do this. So, yun. So, parang opposite ng mga nararamdaman nila yung ginagawa nila at yung pinapakita nila sa ibang tao. Because they don't want people to get involved and they don't want people na kapag nalaman nilang ganito yung mga plano nila, they would be stopped. Hindi nila maituloy kasi may mga taong magre-rescue sa kanila, may mga taong tutulong sa kanila and magko-convince sa kanila na they shouldn't do this. Kasi people who wanted to commit suicide, they really wanted to die.
So they're taking care of everything else and wanting to have a clean end? Is that the point of...
Yeah.
Thank you, Ma'am Janica, once again for giving us your insight. I think that is all the time we have for this episode. We're so thankful for your presence and that you were able to give us your insights. So, palakpakan naman for Ma'am Janica. Thank you po so much. And just to give a quick recap, the essence of this episode is that we talked about the different perspectives one can have as the person with suicidal tendencies or self-harm tendencies, what it's like to be on the receiving end of someone who has a friend that needs help, how we should handle these things, how it manifests, and there's much more that we have yet to tackle, but this is all we have for today.
So, in case none of your questions were answered in this episode, we direct you to the numbers that are shown on the screen. And you are free to consult, speak up. I'm here from PGIN.
And remember, if you've lost your way, seek help and you will be found. This has been Rico Angelo Bunuan.
This has been Sarah Manuel H. as
You're on the line with Psychline. Thank you for listening.